Welcome to the fog-shrouded realm of Dead by Daylight, where the line between life and death blurs, and the pursuit of survival is both relentless and thrilling. In How to Survive a Dead by Daylight Beginner's Handbook, we embark on a journey into the heart-pounding world of this asymmetric horror game. Whether you're a newcomer nervously stepping into the fog for the first time, or a fledgling survivor seeking to hone your skills, this guide is your essential companion. Join us as we navigate the ominous trials, unravel the mysteries of the entity, and equip you with the knowledge to outwit, outrun, and outlast the relentless killers. Are you ready to face the terror and emerge victorious? Or will you succumb to the darkness? Your survival starts here. Today, we're going to be talking about being a solo player. And by that, I mean people who will play in solo queue lobbies by themselves most of the time. And today, we're going to be talking about the perks mostly, because the gameplay side of things, everyone will already know about because it's been seen in videos before, like the basics, the survival part, all that sort of stuff I've covered already. I will leave the playlist to the series down below. But to start with, I want to talk about adrenaline. Where it can be used as a solo perk, it can also be used as a co-op perk, because either way it will work in either queue. Because adrenaline, as I've probably, if you haven't seen the parts before this, where I have spoken about adrenaline before, adrenaline basically means if you are injured or in the dying state, when the final gen pops, then you will be sent up a health state. So from dying state to injured, injured to healthy. Basically making it such a clutch perk. You will not believe me the amount of times I've seen me or other streamers get this at just the right time. Because I have seen a friend of mine, Mike Pod, who is another streamer over on Twitch, who's actually gone down just before the last gen pops, and before the killer has a chance to pick them up, they've been running again because the last gen has popped, and then they have been saved by it. It's such a clutch perk, and there's a reason why it is in 90% of my builds when they aren't specified to certain playstyles. Another perk I do want to mention is, I did forget to say, adrenaline is a Meg Thomas perk, and she is also one of the people I've said to max her first prestige as soon as possible. Then we move on to the perk Alert, which basically helps you know where the killer is most of the time, because as long as the killer is performing a break action, so breaking through doors, walls, they're breaking through pallets, you will get a 5-second reveal of where that killer is and what they are doing. So they could be in chase with another solo queue player, and if they break a pallet during that chase, they are then revealed to you, allowing you to know where they are whenever they are not near you. Another perk I want to talk about is Boil Over, and like adrenaline, it works either way, but Boil Over comes down more to you. And what Boil Over does, it increases your struggle effects by 80%, causing the killer to sway and move and make it harder for them to get you to a hook. And also any hooks that are in 16 meters, the aura of that hook is not shown to the killer, making them think they have to walk to another hook. And also if the killer puts you down, so drops you on the floor, and oh no, that's not that one. They drop from a height, so let's say you drop from the balcony on, I can't think what the map's called, but any high areas, so like the hills on certain maps, there's like hills with a hook on it, if they fall off that, you gain 33% of wiggle progress. So it's literally a third of your wiggle progress automatically done for you. Breakdown can also be another good perk. I also forgot to say, Boil Over is a Kate Denson perk. But coming on to Breakout, which is a Jeff Johansson perk. Breakdown basically means anytime you're removed from a hook, the killer's aura is shown to you, and also that hook breaks for 3 minutes. You will not believe how underused this perk is and how broken it feels, because 3 minutes of a hook not being used or being able to be used is so detrimental to the killer. It means they can't be in that area to use that hook, which basically means they kind of have to try and chase you out of that area. But if you're staying in that area, Breakdown is such a good perk to use. Then we have Borrowed Time we're going to look at as well. Keep your endurance from being unhooked for an extra 10 seconds, and you also get the speed bonus of being unhooked for another 10 seconds as well, which does help, but it does mean you have to kind of rely on people being able to get you off hook, because you'll not believe how many players do end up leaving people on hook. Then we're going to come to Dead Hard, a David King perk, which basically means if you are injured, we're going to put it down to being injured here, you can actually take an extra hit. If you manage to hit the action button just before being hit while you are injured, you are then put into endurance, which means you're able to run a little bit quicker. So you get it's like being hit the first time, but you get it a second time, if that makes sense. So you basically, the killer will hit you if you have used Dead Hard at the right time. That will put you into endurance, meaning you get that sprint boost of being able to run away from the killer from being hit, and you will also have the extra bit of life. And I want to point out, then putting you into endurance, which does inflict, I believe it's referred to as deep wounds. You can actually pair that with Made for This, which does help. And it gives you, after healing another survivor, you and that survivor gain endurance for 10 seconds. Basically mean you can take an extra hit during that time. And while affected by deep wounds, you run 3% faster. It used to be when you were injured, you ran 3% faster, but they had to change that because they viewed it as being broken, which I've never seen a killer complain about someone having Made for This. But that is another good perk. By the way, Made for This is a Gabriel Soma perk. Another perk I do want to talk about is the Feng Min perk Life, which can help you when looping. So if you basically want to change where you're looping, you can use this perk, and while you haven't got the exhausted side of things, you do gain from doing a normal, a rushed vault, so over a pallet, a window, anything like that, you'll gain a 150% sprint boost. So it's like having sprint burst, but it will, instead of it proccing when you go to sprint, it procs when you fast vault. And another perk, I think this will be the final perk before I talk about a build that I want to talk about, is Technician. It does work on both sides of being a solo player or a co-op player, but Technician is another Feng Min perk, another person I highly recommend that people prestige as soon as possible. And basically, Technician prevents the explosion of a gen, but you do lose a little bit more progress if you do manage to fail a skill check. So it's risk and reward. So having Technician does help, meaning if you're not good at skill checks, the killer doesn't get a notification for you popping the gen when failing a skill check. but you do lose more progress. So there is reasons why it does work on both sides, because you could have two people on a gen. If the killer doesn't have discordance and you pop the gen with failing a skill check, the killer's not going to know you're both there, meaning you can both carry on with a gen normally. If the other survivor doesn't have technician, it will still pop the gen. Now to talk about the perks in this build. This build does not require an item, but if you do want an item, I highly recommend bringing a medkit. But you can use any item with this build. And we're going to first talk about Lucky Break. Basically meaning when you get taken off hook, you won't leave blood trails, you won't leave scratch marks. Oh no, it's anytime you are injured. Anytime you are injured, then you don't leave scratch marks or blood stains or trails of blood or anything like that for 60 seconds. For each 1 second spent healing, it increases the duration of Lucky Break by 1 second. I don't know how high it can go, but I want to say if you do, like, let's say 2 minutes worth of actually it says for a total of 60 seconds. So that, I want to say that's the max of it. So you do 60 seconds of healing, that's a full 60 seconds of Lucky Break being procced. Which, this is a clutch perk. You could technically change it out for something like Adrenaline, but I do want to say how much Lucky Break does help in this build. We then want to go into Bite the Bullet, which when you are healing or being healed, I believe. Oh no, I think it's when you're, when healing, you and the person healing you. I don't know if it's like the person healing you as well, but definitely when you are being healed, it's you and the person who you're healing, don't make any grunts of pain, and you don't make a notification or failed noise of failing a skill check when healing, which then completely comes into self-care. Self-care, I will admit, is a frowned upon perk. For some reason, I don't get why. It is a Claudette morale perk. Bite the Bullet is a Leon S. Kennedy perk, and Lucky Break is a Yui Kimura perk. I don't know if I've said her name right, but that is those 3 perks. But with self-care, it allows you to heal yourself without a healing item at a 35% the normal healing speed. So instead of your healing speed when you heal someone being at 100%, you are at a 35% of that. So it's a slow heal, but you make up for that with the other Claudette morale perk being Botany Knowledge, which increases your healing speed by 50% and reduces, and healing item efficiency is reduced by 20%. So you could pair this with a medkit. Any medkit will do, but self-care basically gives you the option to heal yourself without using a medkit. So, if any of these perks do look like something you'd want to use in solo queue, feel free to drop a like down below. I do like to recommend perks that I think are good for these sort of things. So far we've covered Gen Jockey playstyle, we've gone for the Altruism playstyle as well. I will drop the playlist to the series, the entire series, down below, because I am looking to help as many players as possible be better in the game and actually manage to be better. I'm not a pro myself, but I do want to help more players. But for now, thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, drop a like down below, subscribe for more, because we are on the road to 300 subs at this very moment in time. But for now, thank you for watching. I'll see everyone next time.